Title: He Was My Everything Until the Night I Found His Secret. Part 1: The Perfect Lie. My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old. For 10 years I believed in us, in the promises whispered on our wedding day, in the home we built, in the love that felt unbreakable. I met Mark when I was 22. He was kind, funny, and the kind of man who made me feel like the luckiest woman alive. We grew up together, college sweethearts turned husband and wife. Our friends envied our bond, and I thought nothing could ever come between us. But life doesn't always go as planned. In the last 2 years, Mark changed. He became distant, distracted. Late nights at work turned into unexplained weekends away. When I asked, he smiled and said, "It's just stress. You know how it is." I wanted to believe him. I clung to the life we had. But deep down, a cold voice whispered doubt. One evening, I found a receipt from a hotel tucked inside his jacket. The kind of hotel where we never stayed. The kind of place he never mentioned. I waited, I watched, and then I saw her. A woman named Claire, his co-worker, or so he said. But the texts told a different story. Secret dinners, late-night calls, whispers of a future without me. That night, my world cracked open. I confronted him. He didn't deny it. He said he was sorry, but he'd fallen out of love. Said he was confused, said it was my fault for changing, for asking too much. I stayed. I fought. I begged for us to try. But the distance grew, the lies multiplied, and then came the day that changed everything. Part 2: The End and the Beginning. Mark left one morning, said he was going to clear his head, but he never came back. I found out weeks later Claire was pregnant. The betrayal was sharp and raw, but the real pain was watching the man I loved build a new life with her, while I was left with empty rooms and shattered dreams. I tried to move on. I threw myself into work, therapy, friends. But grief lingered, like a shadow I couldn't outrun. And then, one rainy night, the phone rang. It was Claire. Mark had been in an accident, a head-on collision on a wet road. He didn't make it. The man who broke me was gone. I went to the hospital, to the funeral, and I stood there, hollow and numb, surrounded by people who didn't know the truth. How do you mourn someone who betrayed you? How do you say goodbye to a love that never was? I don't have the answers, but I know this. Sometimes love doesn't save you. Sometimes it breaks you. And sometimes, from that brokenness, you have to find the strength to live again. Part 3: Picking Up the Pieces, Extended. After Mark's funeral, everything around me felt hollow, like I was trapped inside a movie set of my own life. The walls stood, the furniture stayed in place, but the warmth, the laughter, the love, all vanished like smoke in the cold air. Every room echoed memories I wasn't ready to face. The kitchen smelled faintly of his cologne. His old coffee mug sat half full on the counter. I couldn't bring myself to throw anything away. It was as if tossing his things would erase what we once had. I wandered through the house like a ghost, my thoughts spinning into dark corners. How did it come to this? I kept asking myself. How did the man I loved, the man I trusted, the man I thought would hold my hand forever, become a stranger who broke my heart in the cruelest way? Nights were the hardest. The silence was deafening. The bed felt impossibly big and empty. I would stare at the ceiling, tracing invisible cracks, willing the pain to subside. But grief is a relentless companion. It clung to me like a shadow, never leaving, whispering memories of betrayal and loss. I felt simultaneously angry and numb, shattered and desperate to hold on. The betrayal didn't just destroy my marriage, it shattered my identity. Who was I without him, without the story we built, without the life I dreamed of? I found myself questioning everything, my worth, my choices, my future. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, I started to write. At first, the words came in fits and starts like splinters of broken glass. Raw anger, unbearable sadness, biting questions, all poured onto crumpled pages and forgotten notebooks scattered around the room. Writing was my only refuge. It was a way to scream silently, to bleed without pain, to confront the chaos inside me. One evening, scrolling mindlessly through my phone, I stumbled upon an online support group. Women like me, torn apart by betrayal, shattered by loss, trying to find light in darkness. I hesitated for days before I finally reached out. The first meeting was terrifying. Sitting in a circle of strangers, each with their own scars and stories, I felt exposed and fragile. But as others shared their pain, their courage, their small victories, I felt something stir inside me. A flicker of hope. It was there, amid tears and broken voices, that I allowed myself to break down completely. I cried for the life I lost, for the love I thought was forever, for the woman I used to be, trusting, hopeful, full of dreams. But I also cried for the woman I wanted to become, stronger, wiser, free. The healing process was neither fast nor easy. Therapy sessions peeled back layers of pain I didn't know I had buried. I confronted my anger, my shame, my fears. I learned to set boundaries, to forgive, not to excuse what happened, but to release the poison that threatened to consume me. I reconnected with old friends who reminded me of who I was before Mark's betrayal. Their support was a lifeline, a reminder that I was not alone. Little by little, I began to reclaim my life. I found joy in small things, the warmth of sunlight on my face, the laughter of children playing outside, the smell of fresh coffee in the morning. I took a painting class, rediscovered my love for art, something I had abandoned when life became too heavy. 1 year after the accident, I booked a trip, just me and a backpack. I traveled to the coast, to the place where the ocean meets the sky and the horizon stretches endlessly. Standing on a cliff overlooking the wild waves, I whispered a goodbye to the past. I let go of the anger, the grief, the bitterness. And I made a promise to myself. I would no longer be defined by betrayal. I would no longer live in the shadow of pain. I was not a victim. I was a survivor. I was ready to build a new life, not because of what was lost, but because of what I could still create. Because in the end, life isn't about holding on to the broken pieces. It's about gathering the strength to pick them up and build something beautiful again.